What's good, you guys? It's your boy imLowKey and the homie Cheeto, and today I'm going to be giving my opinion on the things that made my beat sound better, the tier list. So with that being said, we don't want to waste too much time. Let's go ahead and get right into this. So if you're not familiar with the tier list videos, basically things at the top are the best, in their opinion, in the reviewer's opinion, that's like the highest rating. And then as you go down, the value of each rating decreases down to the bottom where you have, I don't know. Well, in my tier list, I have, I don't know. Usually that'll be like the D tier or the F tier. Yeah, just not good thoughts on that tier. So with that being said, let me go ahead and break down my tiers. All the way at the top, we have the no doubt tier. And I have these in words or phrases that I would use. You feel me? I wouldn't talk to the homie and be like, yeah, man, this was a bad idea. I wouldn't talk to the homie and be like, yeah, man, that joint is S tier, or like, oh, it's A tier. Like, that's just not how I talk. So yeah, at the top we got no doubt. Like, bro, like it's no brainer in my opinion. Like, you feel me? And then we have, yeah, I recommend it. Like, it's cool. Like, I think you should do it for sure. And then down below that we have, yeah, it's good practice. Like, I think it's a good idea to just practice that, whether if you make this kind of music or any kind of music, you should do that. And then below that we have, it's cool. I would say that in person, just trying to be nice, but like deep down, like I probably don't even do it too much, or not that often, because it's like I said, it's cool. And then below that we have, I don't know. I'm just trying to be nice. You feel me? I'm not trying to like insult anybody or their thoughts. And keep in mind, this is how I would interact in person. So if I use any of these phrases from now on, y'all would know. But yeah, and I don't know. And I would probably do this with my hands and everything. Basically, I just don't feel good about that. Like I don't use it. I didn't really notice anything good or better with my music. And maybe like the ethics around it, or just like the idea of it, just I don't know. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this. Keep in mind, this is solely my opinion. Don't take this as objective thoughts. These are just my opinion. Everybody's taste is different. Everybody's tier list might look different as well. So with that being said, let's finally get into the joint. So first up, we have collaborations. This is collaborations. And I haven't really collaborated too much, like not at the level that I want to or I want to achieve, but I've collaborated in the past, whether it be online, through emails or Dropbox or whatever, or even in person. Actually, this year I just started collaborating in person a lot more. Not all music that someone creates is going to sound the same, it's going to have the same process, and that helped me understand that I can incorporate different processes, workflows, or even mindsets into my music, which ultimately gave me a lot more versatility in my music. Yeah, I'd recommend it for sure. Up next, we have drum layering. And even though this is a picture of 3 snare drums stacked on each other, this goes for snare drums, kick drums, hi-hats, percussions, anything where it involves putting an extra sound over a sound or a sample that you already have. That's what I mean with drum layering. Yeah, this is definitely something that made my music better, because it helped me personalize my music. It helped me make my music sound different, and you can really get a identity or a personal fingerprint within your music based just off the way that you layer your drums and you really sound design those different elements in your beat. So I would definitely say that no doubt this made my music better. Up next, we have, this one is gain staging. So I couldn't really find a picture that really represented gain staging too much, but gain staging is definitely something that helped me with my mixes, and it helped me understand that when you gain stage properly, your effects chains or your signal chain is going to be a lot more efficient, and those different effects that you have going on are going to operate a lot more predictably and how you want, how you expect, how it should work. So gain staging is definitely good practice, but it can also be, I'd recommend it, because not everybody's doing it. Once you get to a certain level, maybe you start doing it, or maybe you never even mix your own tracks. Maybe you send them out, but I say it's good practice. And that doesn't mean that it's something that you shouldn't do. It's just that, oh my goodness, I feel like I'm contradicting myself. I'm gonna just move on. Next, we have high pass filter, but this is for you to high pass everything except for the kick and the bass, of course. And sometimes you can even high pass those things. But I think that high passing everything is another thing that makes my mixes sound better, especially with the sample-based music that I make. When I would at a high pass filter, sometimes the bass in those samples, those tracks are already mixed and mastered. They're already set up to be as loud as possible. Unless you're lowering the mix of that sample, I feel like usually times the bass would just overpower my kick and my bass line. Now, sometimes I wouldn't mind that because, maybe the bass line within the sample goes and it kind of complements the chord progression or whatever's playing. At a certain point, I think you should high pass everything because there might be frequencies within a hi-hat, a snare drum, a sample that you don't want to interfere with your kick drum or your bass. So this could be a no doubt because I do that with every beat that I mix. Yeah, I'm gonna put it in no doubt. Up next we have beat block. Now this is an interesting one. So why would I put beat block on the tier list? How would that make my beats sound better? Basically, I feel like beat block is like a hibernation period for my creativity, for my brain, for my drive, and I feel like it's required because there's cycles in nature. And I'm not like no nature guru, tree hugging person. Like, I enjoy nature, I love nature, but I'm not like an extremist about it. I'm not about to preach it too much, but we are beings, creatures of nature, and when you realize that there's cycles all throughout life, beat block is pretty much unavoidable. So I think it's really beneficial when you learn how to utilize your time when you're in beat block. Things that I would do when I have beat block that I've noticed, hold up y'all, my finger is getting tired. All right, things that I would do when I have beat block are things like listening to music, watching YouTube videos, watching TikTok, maybe even reading a book or something. I got multiple books, the Dilla Time, a couple Dilla books, another book, This Is Your Brain on Music. I forgot where it's at. Where's it at? Where is that book? Cheeto, have you saw it? Because I saw it the other day. I just had it. All right, well, that was a failed attempt at trying to find the book. But yeah, the book is This Is Your Brain on Music Theory. And I would just read stuff like that, or just, I wasn't really participating in the act of music. Sometimes I wouldn't even listen to music or watch YouTube videos. I would really just keep it at the bare minimum. While I wasn't really making beats or even playing the piano or doing anything music related, I was at least still learning about it or engaging in a way to where it wasn't really forced or anything like that. And when I came back out of my slumber, I would kind of have some new knowledge or a new motivation or a new goal. Just, I would try to come out of beat block with something new, some new ideas or something like that. So with that being said, if you learn how to utilize it or you know what to do when you have beat block, it's cool because I don't want to get beat block. You feel me? It could be beneficial, but at the same time, I would just like to avoid it and not burn out. Up next, we have cassette processing. Now this is going to be for mastering and contributing towards the way your beat actually sounds, the sonics of it. I really don't want to put it in I'd recommend it, so I'm going to have to put it in no doubt because within my style of music, the boom bap, hip hop, R&B, even lo-fi, you feel me? Like it really does contribute a lot towards my sound, and it contributes like all the right things, all the things I'm looking for, from tape hiss to the saturation to the changes within the frequency spectrum. It really just does stuff to my tracks that makes it sound a lot more alive and raw. Like I don't know a better way to put it. That's what the plugins are emulating. And while plugins do come close, the real thing is, I don't want to say it sounds better, but it's just so much more engaging and so much more fulfilling as well. That's another thing. But yeah, up next we have listening to new music. So while I could have put, just listening to music, I feel like new music is the most important part because that's exposing you to new ideas, new flavors, new harmonies and rhythms and melodies. I definitely think that listening to new music is beneficial, so it's definitely going to go on the higher end of the tier list, but I don't think it's one of the things where it's like, oh yeah, no doubt. What am I saying? Because if you listen to the same music all the time, one, it gets boring, and again, you won't be exposed to new stuff. But then again, like I said, these are phrases I would use in person. So if I was telling somebody, they was like, oh, should I listen to new music? I wouldn't be so enthusiastic and be like, yeah, no doubt. I'll probably be like, yeah, I recommend it. Yeah. I'm gonna just put in, yeah, I recommend it, because it's still good. It's not like this tier is bad. So next we have using live instruments. Here's the thing. In the year 2025, we have plugins, we have AI, we have sample packs. I can see the point in saying, why do you need live instruments? Why do you need real guitars or a real piano? Like, I don't even have a real Rhodes piano or upright yet, but I definitely want one and I need one. The reason why I'm going to put it in the tier that I'm going to put it is because I feel like it does make your music sound better. It made my music sound better. It gave my music a lot more flavor and character, because with these instruments, while I'm not going to be able to play them as good as I would programming, oh my goodness, why can I say Alright. While my live recordings wouldn't sound as good as they would programming them on Ableton, I definitely felt like it opened the door to a new chapter every time I picked up a new instrument, to get to a point to where I can play it in a way that I would program it, or even play it in a way where I wouldn't even know how to program that, because I just kind of did it on the spot. It really opened the doors to a lot of things. And on the piano, I'm pretty much almost at that point to where I can play the things that I hear in my head, the things that I want to play, things that I wouldn't be able to program on a computer. Now throw in the different characteristics of an actual live instrument and the different minor differences that each instrument has, from one acoustic guitar to another, or one electric guitar to another. I feel like it can really imprint a good fingerprint, similar to like drum layering on this tier list. So with that being said, I'm gonna put that in no doubt, and it can be something as simple as plugging a guitar up into the interface, or it can be as complicated as using a specific snare drum with an expensive mic going into a really nice preamp. It's gonna improve your music, or your musicality at that. So yeah, moving on. We have this picture which says organization. That stands for organizing your stuff, your templates, organizing your gear, putting in the folders that you're going to be using, updating those SD cards with the new music or the new packs, sending it to your phone, having a template on Ableton for a specific style of music, or even just the music that you make, not just working from a blank piece of paper. All of those things that go into organization and making the process a lot easier. I feel like this is definitely a no doubt thing, because whether if you're doing it in real life, organizing your cables, organizing your equipment, organizing your studio, or even organizing your digital workspace, making sure that that's set up in a way that's going to be easy to navigate and easy to get around stuff. I think that's going to benefit your workflow so much. And I've learned that workflow is so important, because sometimes creativity doesn't last too long, or sometimes the drive or the motivation to work on a track kind of dwindles down throughout time. When you have a good workflow, when you can make a dope beat, not within a day, but within a couple hours, or when you can make that same track not within a couple hours, but 15-20 minutes, you can crank out so much more music. You can do a lot more stuff within your time. Even if it's not just making that beat, you can spend more time on mixing that beat, or arranging that beat, or making more beats. It's just so much better when you're organized within your music making. Up next, we have YouTube. Now, the reason why I have YouTube on here is because, like I said, in 2025, if you make music or you play an instrument, there's a very high chance that you watch YouTube and you checked out some videos to help you with a certain thing, whether it's tutorials or interviews or anything like that. But if you do it too much, you reach a point where you're not really practicing those things that you've been looking up and researching and learning about. And you might overload yourself with information and not even be able to retain it or use it when you need it. So I'm gonna put it in good practice, because it's good to expose yourself to those different videos and tutorials and introducing ways to unlock doors, you feel me? And while YouTube might be saturated with the same tutorials and stuff, there are times where you can find some hidden gems or some recently uploaded videos where it's exposing you to new stuff. So moving on, we have music theory. And if you're new to this channel, yeah, I've been studying music theory for like the past, I would say 3 years. Now I've been playing the piano for 13 years, but there was a very large chunk of time where I didn't really know what I was playing. I was just playing it and memorizing shapes under my fingertips. You know, it was muscle memory. It wasn't really knowledge or logical or theoretical based. So once I started learning music theory, it wasn't a instant, oh wow, my music started getting better, my beats started sounding better. It was more of a gradual increase in my musicality. And for the first year of me starting to learn music theory, I didn't even want to really incorporate it into my beats yet. I really just wanted to stick to sampling because my music wasn't going to sound how I wanted it to sound. Even when I would do it and try to practice it, I would just hit like a brick wall and be stuck on what should I do or what should I change to get this sound. I would say like after year 2 is when I felt comfortable incorporating raw roads and really incorporating groovy bass lines. That's when I really started noticing a difference in the quality of my music or musicality at that. Now I'm at a point to where I'm comfortable making multiple styles of music without samples. You know, I was a sample-based producer for the longest. I'm still a sample-based producer, but I'm now approaching a point to where I can be a multi-instrumentalist, multi-genre-based producer, and that's thanks to music theory because I understand the different chord progressions, the different fundamental aspects that you should include within different genres and stuff like that, or even just simple music theory things like the circle of fifths or using triads or making melodies. All that stuff is getting so much better, not just within, you know, random splurts of the moment, but when I want to make R&B or when I want to make a soulful sample or something like that. You know, it definitely, no doubt, it made my stuff start sounding better because it started expanding my music as a whole. And that's not to say that if you don't study music theory, your stuff's not going to sound good. You can sound great without music theory, but it doesn't hurt to learn it. So yeah, it's definitely levels to it, and I would no doubt recommend that you learn some music theory. Up next, we have practicing a instrument. So whether if it's the piano, a guitar, singing, practicing, the act of practicing, you know, not actually recording music. Did it make my music sound better? Yes, no doubt. But I'm gonna put, yeah, I'd recommend it because I feel like practicing is necessary. Sometimes you can practice the wrong things, and it was a point in time where I was just practicing the wrong stuff, and that can contribute to that 1 year of me not really noticing too much improvement in my music after learning music theory because I wasn't practicing the right things. I wasn't really focused on the things I needed to be focused on. I wasn't making an exponential increase or a gradual increase at that within my music quality, I felt like, at least. And it wasn't until I started practicing the right things that I started noticing, oh, this is what I should be doing, or maybe I should be focusing on that rather than, you know, trying to learn this very complex chord progression or chord voicing and trying to incorporate it every time I have the opportunity. Maybe I should learn the basic chords first, then lead up to that really juicy chord. Stuff like that. You know, I had to really understand. You can practice so much. For me, at least, it's rare that I incorporate something that I've been practicing in my music. I usually get it down first, then I throw it into my music. Whether that, you know, takes a day or a week or a month. Yeah, I just recommend that you practice your instrument if you play an instrument. And that's another thing. I can't put it in the no doubt because not everybody plays an instrument. So this is reference tracks, using reference tracks. And this is going to be for mixes and stuff like that. Yeah, I definitely think that using reference tracks is good practice. I don't need to use reference tracks too often, and that's because after using them so much, I kind of understand how things should sound. Unless I'm listening to a new genre, trying to get it down, and I want to get a reference track so I can understand the mixing and the EQing and the, you know, mastering phases. Yeah, I mean, it benefits for sure, but at the same time, I don't think that it's one of them things where I'll be like, yeah, like, damn, I could say I recommend it, but, you know, I don't see it being up here. So I'm gonna have to put it at good practice because I feel like it is a good practice. But moving on, we have multi-layered sampling. And this is when you record a sample that you know, chopped up, and then you proceed to layer on top of that sample. You can use a low pass filter on one set of chops and then put a high pass filter on another set of chops and layer that. You can even get different records because if you look at this picture, we have different vinyl. When you learn how to layer samples, that no doubt makes your music better, in my opinion. You're starting to blend so many more elements. You're starting to get so much more creative and personalize within your music, and you're starting to do things that will stand out. Because while one person might chop a sample one way, not everybody's going to chop it on top of itself or add another sample on top of that that complements that sample. So I would no doubt say that multi-layered sampling is good, beneficial. Up next, we have samplers. I'm gonna put it at, yeah, I'd recommend it, because I don't think that samplers are gonna make your music sound better. It might make your music sound different, and it might expose you to different workflows to help you get different results within your music, but I wouldn't necessarily say it made my music better. I can make up a certain type of beat on the SP404 and then create something completely different on Ableton or the P6 or even the SP404 SX. It's going to be a different outcome for all of those pieces of gear. Some might sound good, some might not. Who's to say they sound better? They just all sound different in my opinion. So I'm going to put it at, yeah, I'd recommend it. I would recommend getting samplers, getting more than one sampler, definitely, because it just opens so many more doors. Up next, we have a picture of space, and that's leaving space in your tracks. This is going to go to good practice, because I feel like when you leave space in your tracks, it adds emphasis to other parts of your track, or it really gives more meaning to the music sometimes. So I'm going to say it's good practice. I don't want to put it at, yeah, I recommend it, because not all styles of music require space. Sometimes chaos is everything that's going on, but space can still be used. I would just say it's good practice. Up next, we have iRobot, and this symbolizes AI. I'm gonna put it at, I don't know, like, that's just how I feel. AI, it is impressive. I'm not saying that music that is created with AI sounds bad, but when you get to like the, how would I say it? I guess ethical and philosophical and I guess musical, yeah. When you think about it with those aspects and those different aspects, ethics, I mean, I heard stuff about the environment. Like I said, I like nature. Another thing is philosophical. I feel like, is it really you making the music? While you are contributing your ideas via a prompt or via typing, it just, it's not you playing it. It's not you hitting the buttons, figuring it out, and making music, literally, physically, the act of making music can lead to, expected outcomes, but also unexpected outcomes. You can have happy accidents. When you use AI and you have an idea and you know exactly what you want to do, and all it takes is a prompt, you're not going to have those happy accidents. You're not going to have those moments where you discover something new. I just feel like music's not going to be as fun. Now, I understand that AI is beneficial for people who don't have producers, for people who don't play instruments and stuff like that. But then again, I don't know. Like, it's just not really gravitating with me. Like, it just, even when I hear AI music that's like emulating like a different song, they change the lyrics and they change the genre. Like, it's cool. Like, dang, I never thought of it like that. But at the same time, it's like, it is a robot. You feel me? That made it. Maybe not literally a robot, but, and that also ties into the musical aspect of it. Like, ain't nobody really playing it. Like, even if you sampling it, it's like these instruments aren't real in a sense. And it's just like, the fact that I know that, or even when I can tell, it's like, it just takes the life out of me. Maybe not, in person, but like the musical side of me, just like, I'm more entertained by the things a 12-year-old could create, because this might be their first beat, and let's see what they come up with, or let's see what type of route they take. You feel me? It's just so much more exciting. So yeah, I'm gonna have to put that at, I don't know, AI. Some might like it. I don't see myself using it. When I did try to use it within my music, I didn't have a good experience. And again, at this point, even though now it can make stuff that sounds good, I'm just not interested in it. Up next, we have time limits. So setting time limits, I would do this in the past to try to increase my workflow and make music faster. But as I discussed in this video, there's a lot of things that you can do to increase your workflow. And setting a time limit doesn't do anything but create more pressure to create something. I don't want to say, I don't know, because sometimes you do want to make something within a certain amount of time, but forcing yourself and rushing yourself isn't really the way to go about it. So I'm gonna have to put it on the same tier with beat block. Like, I mean, it's cool. Like, you can do that, but I wouldn't recommend it. Up next, we have transcribing, or studying music that you enjoy. So when I transcribe songs and transcribing with a certain instrument, whether it be a guitar, a melody, something as simple as that, or chords in a song or a sample, I definitely feel like transcribing is something that helped me understand music and different styles of music and the things I want to achieve. I don't want to put it at no doubt. I feel like yeah, I'd recommend it, because you guys might be able to tell Jay Dilla is one of my biggest influences. DiBiase is also, you know, he's my uncle, but he's also one of my biggest influences. Other people like D'Angelo, rest in peace, DJ Harrison, and many more different artists are people that I would transcribe or study to really get a grip on the things I need to be doing in my music. So I would definitely put that at, yeah, I recommend it. And last up, we have listening to your music on multiple sound systems. So whether that be a set of speakers, some earbuds, car stereo, headphones, your phone speaker, yeah, this is definitely something that you should be doing. I wouldn't say it's gonna make your music so much better. You know, you're not gonna be like, oh my goodness, I'm so glad I started doing that. Yeah, I'd recommend it. It is good practice, but I'd recommend doing that just because listening to music on different sound systems definitely helps you understand the range that you should be in within your mixes and certain instruments and volume levels and stuff like that. But yeah, that's actually the end of the tier list. And man, this tier list looks like too, like, I don't want to say symmetrical, but like too good. Yeah, I think this is a good tier list for me. I'm comfortable with finalizing this tier list. These are my opinions on the things that make my beats sound better. If you guys have some different things that you've thought about, make sure you leave them down in the comments, or even leave your opinion on my thoughts on some of these different takes. If you're watching this video before December 12th, I just want to let you guys know that I'm going to be playing a show with DiBiase through Beat Cinema in Riverside. So yeah, I just want to get that word out there. It should be a picture of the flyer on the video, and it's gonna be a night to remember. Me and Unc don't get to perform too often, being that he lives in a different city. So when we get together, it's definitely a chaotic and great time. So with that being said, you guys, I'm gonna get out of here. See you on the next one. Peace. Oh, Cheeto said peace too.
Peace.